Hello, everyone. I'm Susan, and at 33 years old, I found myself facing significant personal challenges in the realm of love. After the disappointing end of my first marriage, I pledged to safeguard my emotional well-being and avoid any toxic entanglements. Embracing a path of self-healing and personal growth, I was determined to build a fulfilling relationship that would enrich my spirit. When I met my second husband, he seemed like the perfect partner I had always envisioned. We shared a deep connection, and I believed we were truly destined to be together. However, as our relationship progressed, I encountered an unexpected hurdle. My mother-in-law, Carolyn, her presence became a constant test of my resilience and strength. From the outset, Carolyn tried to wedge herself into our relationship. She scrutinized my every action, critiqued my choices, and even attempted to dictate our decisions as a couple. But I stood firm. Having invested so much in my happiness, I refused to let anyone, even a mother-in-law, disturb the peace I had worked so hard to establish. Drawing from my journey of self-discovery, I confronted Carolyn directly, making it clear that her interference was unwelcome. My resolve was met with resistance. Carolyn was a formidable opponent, challenging my boundaries at every opportunity. Her persistent overreach, including inappropriate comments about joining us on our honeymoon, underscored her lack of respect for our independence. Determined to maintain the boundaries I had set, I decided it was time to teach Carolyn a lesson in respecting limits. It was a necessary step to ensure that she understood the consequences of her actions. Carolyn's behavior was not just a personal annoyance, it was a challenge to the stability of my marriage, and I was ready to protect it at all costs. As I moved forward from my past struggles, I found myself navigating a new challenge, dealing with my overbearing mother-in-law, Carolyn. Carolyn had a peculiar way of showing her affection, often overshadowing our moments with her excessive involvement. During family gatherings, which were usually relaxed backyard barbecues, she'd frequently joke about joining us on our honeymoon to capture beautiful moments of us, or she'd teasingly threaten to take my place next to Stephen. Initially, these comments seemed like harmless fun, and many at the events would dismiss them as just another of her quirky remarks. I, too, initially laughed them off, but her persistent jokes began to hint at a deeper truth. Maybe she wasn't joking at all. The idea seemed absurd. What kind of mother-in-law would seriously consider intruding on her son's honeymoon? But as time passed, I started to realize that perhaps Carolyn was more serious than sane in her suggestions. This realization dawned on me particularly sharply on my wedding day. As I prepared myself in the dressing room, my heart was full of excitement for the life that lay ahead with Stephen. The room was buzzing with the joy and anticipation of the festivities to commence. Suddenly, the door burst open and Carolyn's imposing figure appeared. Her entrance cast a shadow over the festive mood, and I turned to face her, trying to keep my smile intact despite the growing unease. Without missing a beat, Carolyn plunged into conversation. "Susan, I need to talk to you," she began, her gaze intense. "How do you feel about everything? Are you truly happy?" Her question caught me off guard. Of course, I was happy. Overjoyed, in fact. Stephen was the love of my life, and our wedding celebrated our mutual affection and commitment. "Carolyn, I couldn't be happier," I replied, my voice brimming with sincerity. "Stephen and I are thrilled to be starting our lives together." This encounter in the dressing room was just another example of how Carolyn's presence could be both unsettling and oddly direct, challenging the boundaries I had so carefully set. In the whirlwind of joy and anticipation that surrounded our wedding day, I was eagerly looking forward to the honeymoon, a well-deserved break for Stephen and me after months of meticulous planning. However, unbeknownst to me, Carolyn had other ideas, and her true intentions were about to surface under a veil of secrecy. As I adjusted my veil in the reflection of the mirror, Carolyn leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a mischievous whisper. "Actually, about the honeymoon. I've decided to come along. It'll be a surprise for Stephen. Please, let's keep it between us. Don't spoil the surprise." She walked towards the door with an air of finality, leaving me in a state of shock and confusion. The words crashed over me like a wave. Was she serious? Was she planning to join us on our honeymoon? "Wait, Carolyn, are you serious right now? You want to come with us on our honeymoon?" I asked, hoping for some clarity or perhaps a reassurance that this was just another of her peculiar jokes. Carolyn's face was a mask of stoic determination mixed with expectation. "Yes, Susan, I've always dreamed of experiencing a romantic getaway like this. I'm his mother, and I've been there for all his milestones. It's important for me to be there. It'll be a bonding experience for all of us." Her words struck me with their audacity. Our honeymoon was supposed to be a private journey for Stephen and me, a sacred opportunity to forge intimate memories as a newly married couple, not a family excursion. Searching for the right words while struggling to keep my composure, I replied, "Carolyn, this is our honeymoon. It's a time for us to deepen our bond and focus solely on each other. While I appreciate your enthusiasm, it's crucial to respect our boundaries." Her expression shifted between surprise and disappointment. Clearly, she hadn't anticipated my objection or the firmness in my voice. "Susan, I only want what's best for Stephen. I thought this would be a special surprise for him, a way to bring us closer as a family." Taking a deep breath, I summoned all the inner strength I had nurtured through my journey of self-discovery. "Carolyn, I understand and respect your love for Stephen, but our honeymoon is sacred. It's a time for us as a couple to nurture our relationship and create our memories, which will be the foundation of our future together." Standing my ground was essential, not just for the sake of our honeymoon, but for setting the tone of respect and independence in our marriage. I hoped Carolyn would respect our wishes, but the tension in the air thickened as she came to grips with the fact that her plans were thwarted. It was a defining moment, a test of the new dynamic between us. In that instant, I felt empowered, having taken a crucial step in safeguarding my marriage and establishing a foundation of love and respect. You might think that would be the end of the story, right? Unfortunately, my friends, it didn't stop there. As the day of our departure approached, a mix of excitement and nervousness fluttered in my heart. Stephen and I were on the verge of embarking on our eagerly awaited honeymoon, a chance to relax and revel in our newlywed bliss. However, a looming storm threatened to overshadow our joy. It was the morning we were set to leave when Carolyn's name appeared on my phone. Taking a deep breath, I answered, bracing myself for whatever she might say. "Hello, Carolyn. Susan, dear, I've decided to join you and Stephen on your honeymoon. Isn't that thrilling?" Her voice chirped through the phone. A wave of frustration washed over me. Hadn't we already settled this discussion? My voice tightened with exasperation as I responded, "Carolyn, we've been through this. This honeymoon is a special time for Stephen and me. We need space to strengthen our relationship as a married couple." Carolyn's reply was casual, almost dismissive of my concerns. "Yes, dear, but I've made up my mind. I'm coming along. It'll be a grand adventure for all of us. You'll see." My patience thinning, I asserted more firmly, "Carolyn, this isn't up for negotiation. Stephen and I planned this trip as a private getaway. You need to respect that boundary." A tense silence followed, punctuated only by the distant hum of expectation. I sensed Carolyn's frustration mounting, but I stood firm in my refusal. "Don't be so dramatic, Susan. Now tell me, you two are going to Switzerland, right? I've already booked my ticket. I know it was last minute, so I won't be on the same flight, but I'll meet you there," she continued, seemingly unfazed. Her words echoed in my mind, but they also presented an opportunity to steer Carolyn's plans away and reclaim our honeymoon as the sacred space it was meant to be for Stephen and me. I believe that everyone could learn and change, but sometimes it required a bold move to ignite that transformation. I was prepared to make that move, ensuring our honeymoon remained ours alone. I had already made it clear to Carolyn that I wasn't going to engage in a tiresome back and forth with my in-laws. I needed to keep the peace, so when faced with her unwavering determination to join our honeymoon, I decided to take a creative approach to protect our private time. Keeping my cool and masking my frustration, I responded to her with a bit of quick thinking. Actually, Carolyn, there seems to be a misunderstanding. We're headed to New Zealand, not Switzerland. Carolyn's reaction was one of surprise, a gasp escaping her as she processed the sudden twist. Oh my, I must have misunderstood. Yes, I'll need to change my flight right away. Thank you for letting me know, Susan. Absolutely, change that flight to Auckland, New Zealand. And yes, changing flights last minute can be pricey, but I know you'd do anything for Stephen, I added, a subtle nudge to ensure she followed through. Little did she know, Stephen and I were actually bound for Switzerland. I felt no remorse for the deception. It was a necessary act to preserve our much-needed privacy. Carolyn hurried off to adjust her travel plans, and as I ended the call, a sly smile spread across my face. For now, our honeymoon was safe from any unwanted interference. With each passing minute, my sense of relief grew. Stephen and I were free to start our journey without the looming presence of Carolyn's meddling. It was a small victory, but a significant one, proving my resolve to protect what was sacred to us. As our plane descended into Switzerland, the excitement between us was palpable. The breathtaking landscapes, historic architecture, and vibrant culture of Switzerland awaited us. Stepping off the plane, Stephen exclaimed in awe, "Susan, look at this view. Can you believe we're actually in Switzerland? It's even more beautiful than I imagined." "I know, Stephen. It feels like we've stepped right into a fairy tale." "I can't wait to explore everything," I replied, equally enchanted by the setting. We arrived at our charming hotel in the heart of Geneva, immediately taken by its elegant decor and cozy ambiance. The city around us buzzed with history, art, and music, and we were eager to dive into the cultural feast. "This hotel is incredible, Susan." "Great choice," Stephen remarked, appreciative of the atmosphere that promised to make our honeymoon memorable. Indeed, we were set to immerse ourselves in the beauty of Geneva, celebrating our new life together in a place as magical as our dreams. "I'm really glad you like it, babe. I wanted our stay to be perfect," I responded, thrilled by Stephen's appreciation. As soon as we arrived, our excitement overcame our weariness. Stephen and I walked hand in hand through the enchanting streets of Geneva, absorbing the grandeur of Schönbrunn Palace and savoring delicious confections from the charming local cafes. "Stephen, can you believe the beauty of this place? The Alps are breathtaking," I expressed, awestruck by the scenery. "I'm blown away, Susan. This is a dream come true. Thank you for planning such an amazing honeymoon," Stephen replied, his eyes glowing with happiness. Exhausted but fulfilled, we returned to our hotel, deciding to continue our adventures after some rest. Stephen headed for the shower just as my phone rang. It was Carolyn. She cheerfully informed me that she was about to board her plane to Auckland. "Hey, Carolyn, that's great. I hope you have a safe flight." "Oh my gosh, I can't contain my excitement that you're actually joining us in Auckland. We're going to have the most incredible time together at the Oceanfront Hotel. You won't believe the breathtaking views of the harbor." I maintained the facade with enthusiasm. "Oh, my dear Susan, I am equally thrilled to embark on this adventure with you both. And I must say, I'm so glad that you finally came to your senses and saw the beauty in me tagging along on your honeymoon." "I knew that you'd be understanding," Carolyn replied, her voice filled with satisfaction. I rolled my eyes but kept up the pretense. Absolutely, Carolyn. You're so right. The flight may be a bit tiresome, but trust me, Auckland is going to captivate your heart with its vibrant cityscape, the iconic opera house, and stunning beaches. You'll be in awe. Oh my, that sounds marvelous. I simply can't wait to experience it all, Susan. I hope Stephen is prepared for some quality mother-son bonding time. This trip will give us a chance to connect on a deeper level, Carolyn continued, unaware of the mix-up. Carolyn, when Stephen sees you, he'll be over the moon. It's going to be an unforgettable journey filled with laughter, exploration, and beautiful memories, I assured her, hiding my true feelings about the situation. That warms my heart, Susan. I am eager to create lasting memories with both of you. Rest assured, once I land in Auckland, I'll reach out to you immediately. It will be our signal to commence this grand adventure, Carolyn concluded. Perfect, Carolyn. The moment you touch down, give me a call. We'll coordinate our plans, I said, ending the call with a sense of relief, knowing our actual destination remained just between Stephen and me. As I ended the call with Carolyn, a playful twinge of mischief washed over me. The thought of Carolyn discovering that we were actually in Switzerland, not New Zealand, sparked a gleeful anticipation within me. This mix-up, I hoped, would serve as a potent lesson about respecting boundaries and allowing my marriage to Stephen to blossom without her overbearing involvement. The prospect of Carolyn's forthcoming surprise added a layer of excitement to our Switzerland adventure, heightening the joy already bubbling in my spirit. It felt a bit like schadenfreude, but the desire to share an unencumbered journey with Stephen, crafting memories meant just for us, was too enticing. However, as I hung up, a mix of relief and anxiety began to set in. Stephen, emerging from the shower, noticed my distracted state and approached with concern. "What's going on?" he asked, sensing the shift in my mood. My initial delight faded, replaced by a twinge of guilt. Throughout this entire escapade, I hadn't fully considered how Stephen might feel about the deceptive tactic I employed against his mother. The last thing I wanted was to sow seeds of deceit at the start of our new life together. Taking a deep breath, I decided to come clean. "Stephen, I have to confess something," I began, the words feeling heavy on my tongue. "Is everything okay?" he responded, his brow furrowed in worry. "Not exactly," I admitted. "You know how Carolyn always joked about tagging along on our honeymoon? Well, she was serious about it. She intended to join us." Stephen's expression turned from concern to disbelief. "What the hell?" I told her that it was out of the question because this time was meant for just us. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. She insisted she'd be coming along, I continued, my voice faltering slightly. So I misled her about our destination. Instead of arguing further, I told her we were going to Auckland, hoping it would prevent her from intruding on our privacy. I recounted the rest of the story, apologizing at every turn. I didn't want Stephen to view me as manipulative or cruel. I simply wanted to safeguard our time together from being overshadowed by his mother's overbearing ways. Stephen was silent for a moment after I finished, leaving me unable to gauge his reaction. He sat down on the bed, and to my utter surprise, he began to laugh. His laughter, unexpected yet sincere, filled the room, easing the tension that had built up within me. I was taken aback by Stephen's reaction. He laughed even harder. "You sly fox, Susan. I can't believe you did that. Honestly, it's a relief. My mom's interference has always been exhausting. Now we can truly enjoy our time together." "Wait, so you're not mad?" I asked, surprised yet relieved. "Well, I'm not thrilled about sending her to a foreign country, but I find the whole situation hilarious. I'm just picturing her face when she realizes the mix-up," Stephen chuckled, the humor of the situation easing any lingering tension. We both laughed together, feeling a renewed sense of unity. With the situation lightened, Stephen and I continued to explore Switzerland, fully immersing ourselves in each other's company and the stunning beauty around us. We delved into the rich history, breathtaking landscapes, and vibrant culture, each moment strengthening our bond and creating cherished memories that would be forever etched in our hearts. Meanwhile, Carolyn, unaware that her son found the situation amusing and was in on the ruse, was about to face a revelation. Once she landed in New Zealand, exhausted, she called, expecting us to pick her up from the airport. I put the phone on speaker mode. "Hey, Carolyn, Stephen and I are together right now. Listen, there's something you need to know. We're not in New Zealand, we're actually in Switzerland." "But you said Auckland, the oceanfront hotel," Carolyn stammered, confusion clear in her voice. "Yeah, that was all a trick, Carolyn. Sorry about that, but you really needed to learn," I explained, maintaining a firm tone. "A trick? For what? What did I do?" Carolyn's voice rose with disbelief. "You kept trying to insert yourself into our honeymoon. What kind of mother does that? When you insisted on tagging along, instead of fighting with you about it, I decided to let you believe what you wanted. This way, I could enjoy some quality time with my husband," I explained, hoping she would understand the necessity of our decision. "How could you do this, Susan? I trusted you. You're no good for my son." Carolyn's hurt was palpable. Stephen, who had been by my side and listening the entire time, then spoke up. "Mom, it's time you understand that meddling in our lives and disregarding Susan's boundaries has consequences. This was her way of setting a boundary and teaching you that we deserve to have our own space and privacy." "What, Stephen? You too?" Carolyn's voice cracked, the reality of her son's stance sinking in. This moment, though fraught with tension, was crucial. It underscored our commitment to each other and the importance of respecting our newly formed family unit. "I can't believe you're taking her side. I can't believe you've deceived me like this. I raised you. I've been there for you through everything." Carolyn's voice crackled with hurt and disbelief over the phone. "Mom, this wasn't about deception. It was about setting boundaries," I replied, trying to convey the necessity of our actions. "Susan and I are building our lives together. You must respect our choices and let us forge our path. We love you, but maintaining healthy boundaries is key." Carolyn's angry voice echoed through the phone, loud enough to turn heads nearby. "You've humiliated me. I can't believe my son would turn against me like this. Carolyn, please try to see where we're coming from," I urged, my tone steady yet empathetic. "This wasn't done to embarrass you. We needed to make it clear that we require our own space and independence. It's time for you to let us build our lives and respect the boundaries we've established." "I don't want to hear it. You both are selfish and ungrateful," she retorted sharply. Before I could respond, she added, "Call me back when you're ready to have a real conversation." With that, she abruptly ended the call, leaving herself likely bewildered and upset at the airport. I might have felt guilty, but instead I felt relieved. Standing up for our marriage's boundaries was necessary, even if it was uncomfortable. I reminded myself that wanting privacy on our honeymoon wasn't unreasonable. It wasn't normal for a mother to insist on tagging along. Considering Carolyn's extreme reaction, suggesting she might as well have been sent to the moon didn't seem too exaggerated. "Stephen, are you all right with how things turned out?" I asked, concerned about his feelings. "Yes, Susan. Don't worry about Mom. She's embarrassed and frustrated, but maybe this will finally show her that her behavior isn't okay. She needs to respect our boundaries whether she likes it or not," Stephen reassured me, his tone resolute but caring. As we continued our honeymoon in Switzerland, enjoying the stunning vistas and cultural delights, the issue with Carolyn receded into the background. We decided she would contact us when she was ready to reconcile. Perhaps she even managed to make something of her unplanned trip to New Zealand. Regardless, I was confident she'd think twice before trying to interfere with our plans in the future.